Welcome to the Monday Monologue. Yay, we got the ST70 done. And that was quick. I know some of you guys were thinking, oh no, she's going down some rabbit hole. We won't see her again until next year, in August or something. But, man, I'm done. And am I done? No. But I've got the amp up and running. And it tested way better than I expected. But I shouldn't be shocked because these things wouldn't be like this cult classic if it didn't have good iron and good bones. And it really does. Are there some issues? I think the power supply is probably, something that kind of holds this thing back from being like just crazy good. But it also depends on the use case. I'm going to be using this thing at probably less than 10 watts output. And my goal was to try to keep this thing in Class A by biasing the tube super hot as far as I could instead of it being like a Class AB powerhouse. And I've gone over this before. Changing the bias on the tubes does not change the output power. It just changes the point that it switches from going from strictly Class A, which means both tubes or all the tubes are conducting all the time, to Class AB, where one tube's off, one's on, and they're switching off back and forth, and that's how they get the extra power out of a push-pull amp. But it also creates more third-order harmonic distortion and starts drifting away from what a tube amp sounds like. And I think by running these tubes harder and biasing them closer to what I would normally do for a single-ended amp, we're going to keep it in Class A longer and still get good power out of it. And got to do some more experimenting with that. And I got to do some more testing to figure out like when it stops being Class A and when it goes into Class AB and measuring that point. I need to figure all that out, but that's for another day. And this was a fun little side trek from some of my other, strictly DIY built from scratch stuff. Was waiting on some chokes for my 6C33C. The guys at Thermionic Labs, super great folks. They reached out to me. They must be following my channel because they said, hey, we see you're on a little struggle bus there with this amp. We have some chokes that might resolve your problem, or we think will. We can design them for you to fit this application. So I ordered a pair of chokes from them. They just came in last week, and they may just drop in, which will be sweet. Those Lundels was going to be a hassle mounting them and then trying to figure out covers for them, and I can't put them inside. And these they have end bells. They look like they'll bolt right on where those Hammonds went, and hopefully are like real plate chokes. And that will be a good thing for us to figure out if that's what solves it or not. Like a lot of folks, they were, here's the schematic. Here's how you will use one of those tubes and all this stuff. And it's one of the reasons I really didn't want to work with this tube because it is weird. And, when you've got 200 volts on the plate or 200 volts of B plus to work with, and then you got to come up with all this voltage swing, it's really a difficult tube to work with. And it's one of those tubes too that there seems to be a lot of misinformation about, or there's a lot of kind of snake oil sounding stuff to me. And I know Triode Rob made it work with this type of circuit, and I could probably go buy some D3A tubes and just be done with it, but I'd have to then find the choke he used and all that. So we're still kind of figuring that out. Plus, I'm trying to do it on a budget. I mean, I know I could go spend a bunch of money buying some high-end iron and then using two-stage front end and all this other stuff. I just don't want to do that. So I'm trying to do something a little different. So anyway, we're going to be back on that soon. I ordered a pair of cattle bile for the 6P1. And you're probably going, what? What's cattle bile? Well, obviously, there's some sort of a translation issue. But somehow, output transformer was translated into cattle bile. And I've seen that on several eBay auctions and stuff too, or they call them cows. So, anyway, we ordered a pair of cows for the 6P1, and a couple of different people have told me that these particular ones off Amazon, these little 5K 5 watt black guys that have no ultralinear taps, are actually good sounding transformers and have pretty good low frequency bandwidth. And so I shared a viewer's concern about putting 8 ohms on the 4 ohm tap of this 2.5K transformer was going to get me a 5K, and then it's not going to have any bass response. But it's like, that all made sense. So before I dove into that, I went ahead and ordered a pair of transformers. They were $20 a piece, so we're not talking a lot of money. And then I also have some from Musical Power Supplies that would work as well. So we've got 3 different output transformers we can toy around with. I don't think that's going to be a big project because that Maggie circuit that Dave G came up with that uses the EL84 is a tried and true circuit. People are like, it works. And I talked to several people that have built those or have modified those little Maggie amps with that circuit. They say it works. It sounds good. And so I don't think we're going to have to tinker around a bunch with that. I think it's going to be kind of like this ST70 was. It's like, here's something people have been doing for a long time. This works. Just plug this in and you're done. And that's hopefully what's going to happen with that little 6P1, and we can knock it out real quick too. So what am I going to rant about today? Today I want to rant about how manufacturers, or not all of them, I mean, there's some really good manufacturers out there. Like, I'll give you some good ones before I get into my rant. Aema has been great. They sent me like an A07 Max, and I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, did a review on it. It was like, this is a decent sounding amp. I don't know why people are jumping up and down about it. This isn't some kind of giant killer compared to tube amp. It's not even close, but it's not bad. It sounds better. It's not like it's not transistor radio sounding, but it's not like this giant killer that all these other folks are out there hyping up and then putting affiliate links, getting people to buy them. And I think there was a lot of that going on. But then they sent me that A70, which has that new, some kind of funky feedback that the other earlier ones didn't have. And it's got balanced inputs, which I'm not using, but it's that bigger unit, which just feels more substantial too. Whether that's a thing or not, having an amplifier that says it's 300 watts and is the size of a pack of cigarettes, it's like, maybe I'm old school. That just feels wrong. So, anyway, that A70, glowing review. Put some Sparco's op amps in it. Man, it sounds great. And to me, if you're in the under $500 budget range looking for a stereo amplifier, get an Aema A70, put those Sparco's op amps in it, and listen to some music. It sounds great. And so, I guess my point is, my reviews have been kind of a mixed bag as far as I don't think the products are bad, but it's like, this one's really good, and this one's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but and some manufacturers get upset that I'm not just giving glowing reviews of every product, hyping it up. But I try to do honest reviews. And I think they respect that, and they just sent me a little subwoofer to review. And they had sent me a couple of mono amps, and there's nothing wrong with their little mono amps, but I thought the Fozzy version was a better implementation. And it was a cleaner look, and I just preferred it personally. But they were okay with that, I guess is my point. And they're like, okay, we get that. Let me know what you think about this subwoofer. The subwoofer's pretty good. I really liked it, especially for that price point. I think it's a great product. And so that's the way manufacturers should do. What we've got is these manufacturers, and it's mostly these folks that have been in the audio industry for 40 years. And they remember the days when there was Stereo Review magazine, and they would send a sample to the editor or somebody on their team, and it's like, here, I'm going to give you this $2,000 amp, and write up a review, and then send me a copy of the review for me to sign off on before you publish it. And don't publish something without my approval. And they were like being the gatekeeper of reviews of their own products. But they were basically paying for it. Or they were paying for ad space in the magazine and expected, because I'm paying, 10 grand for ad space in your magazine, that you're going to hype my products. And I think historically that's kind of what happened. Was like somebody at the magazine or somewhere was like, hey, yeah, this guy regularly buys ad space in our magazine, so yeah, let's give him a nice review. And they just got used to that. And now with the internet and YouTube and, like people sending me stuff, or, me buying stuff outside of like their normal purview, they just lose their mind if somebody reviews something and doesn't say it's like the best thing on the planet. And we all saw what happened with Tecton and Aaron, that somebody sent Aaron their speakers. Like, he didn't reach out to Tecton, and Tecton didn't like give Aaron speakers or something. It was like some customer, just like that guy brought me over that R8, or somebody mailed me one of those Music Share X7s that was having problems. It was, I just one ended up in my lap, and that's how it got reviewed. And most of the stuff that has been reviewed on my channel was reviewed that way. Was either I bought it because I wanted it, like my Technics 100C turntable. I wanted a new turntable, so I bought it and did a review on it. And same thing with like what's happened to Aaron. So he gets sent a demand letter, take down that video or else, because the measurements didn't meet what I measured. And Aaron gave that speaker a great review, I thought. I mean, he didn't say, this is my top speaker and you should go out and buy this. But he also didn't say that it sucked. And it was like, and the thing that he found wrong with it was a little resonance that he saw in one of his little Kipple, near field test things, one of those little graphs and screens things. And it's like, yeah, normally this right here, and even just said, normally this is a little cabinet resonance, but it's never going to be audible. And this guy loses his freaking mind over it and starts talking about some nonsense. You didn't have the feet screwed on the bottom of it. And then Aaron figured out that, yeah, if you turn the speaker upside down, that it goes away. So it's clearly a cabinet resonance issue, because if you have it sitting on its roof, then the roof doesn't vibrate, and you don't see that on the measurement. And again, he said, but none of this is audible. So why are these people losing their mind about stuff that nobody cares about? So recently there was that DCS battery thing where this was in Australia, and they got some crazy laws, and this YouTuber's getting just hammered by this manufacturer for giving an honest review about these batteries that just don't meet their specs, and they don't last like they're supposed to. And he's now literally in court over this thing. And recently, Mendit Mike just did a review on a preamplifier, and this time the manufacturer played some game where they claimed that there was a copyright infringement of him showing the inside of the amplifier, and they did a copyright strike on him and made YouTube take the video down. And this is a notice to you manufacturers. This does not make you look good. This makes you look like you got something to hide. And when we find stuff wrong with the design of a product, just fix it. And you saw that happen on my channel with that Wilsonton R8, where I found issues with the way it was grounded. I was picking up Loretta Lynn singing on a country radio station through the grounding problems, and they didn't have any safety resistors on the bias pots, and there was a lot of issues with the way that was designed. And initially I thought they were going to do the right thing, and you guys did too, that they did the improvements to the amp, and like a couple of months later, they sent me this prototype of their next version that had all these problems fixed, and I gave it a thumbs up. We called it a Mark II because we didn't know what else to call it. And then they get all defensive, say I'm lying, there's no Mark II, they didn't do any improvements to the amp, and that I'm just trying to defame them. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like, you had a win. You had a product that was reported as having some issues. And you went out and you fixed the issues so they would stop red plating tubes, and it became a better product for consumers. The grounding was fixed. It sounded better. Had higher voltage caps so it'd be more reliable. They fixed everything, but then they went on this PR campaign against me. And I'm just like this little YouTube channel. It's like, what are y'all doing? Recently had another manufacturer that this guy was just a total dick. And I hate to use language like that, but I don't know if he's got mental problems or what's going on, or if he's just been in the business too long and he's burnt out. And he started threatening me and giving me all these, if you defame me or my company, we're going to come after you. And I've got lawyers all lined up. And then he said some really stupid stuff like, you no longer have permission to review my products. Like, what? I don't need your permission to review one of your products. That's not how this works. And if somebody sends me one of your products, or I go to a retail outlet and buy one of your products, I can freaking review it if I want to, and you have no say-so in the matter. But this guy was so ridiculous, I'm just avoiding any of their products. And I'm not going to mention their name. I don't even want to go. I hope I never hear from this guy again. But this is the crap that's going on behind the scenes that you guys don't see. So when you wonder why these popular YouTube channels never do negative reviews, or they never, even when a product they know is bad, and they just kind of beat around the bush and just kind of like, well, for my system, this really wasn't ideal, and they don't just come out and say, this thing sounds distorted and has no bass response, or this, or it's shrill, or it's fatiguing, or it's whatever. They don't say that stuff because they just don't want to deal with these crazy manufacturers. And I've never seen anything like it. I've never online reviewed stuff before, but I've never seen camera manufacturers going after people, or, car manufacturers threatening legal action against reviewers. But these audio guys are just crazy. And I think what it is they're historically used to, like I said, if I buy ad space in your magazine and then I give you this turntable or whatever, you're going to give me a glowing review. I get sales off the review plus the sales off the ad. You get paid your 10 or 15 grand or whatever the ad was, and we both shake each other's hands, and we've done an infomercial that people are paying for the magazine to read. And I think they're so used to that when somebody actually does a review on their products, they just freak out. So that's what we get to deal with. And the funny thing was, the same guy was like, you could fix what I don't like about your video in 5 minutes. He was like, you just turn your phone on and you can just re-record the video, and it wouldn't take you 5 minutes to redo the review video. And that's a disconnected from reality person. To make this video that you're watching, I already recorded this about 2 hours ago, and then when I went to edit it, I realized I'd forgot to focus the camera. And I don't know if you noticed in my videos, you don't see the camera going in and out of focus and all that. It's because I pre-focus the camera and use manual focus, so it doesn't do that stuff. And I record the audio separately, and I edit the audio, and then I sync the audio to the video, and I make sure that the lighting's right, make sure the color temperature's right before I start recording and all that stuff. Somehow I missed the focus thing because I was doing some other setup shot for some other stuff. But yeah, there was 45 minutes wasted or 30 minutes wasted on the raw video footage for this video that I just had to throw in the trash, and now I'm sitting here recording it again. So this is not a 5-minute deal doing these videos that are worth watching, at least quality-wise. And that's part of the delusion, I think, that some of these manufacturers have. They think we just sit down in front of a phone and then record the video and then just hit upload and it's done. And we're in 10 minutes. And that you're making bank. That's what he kept accusing me of. Oh, you're just doing this to make a bunch of money, to do a sensational video to defame me, to get... So if I wanted to do that, I'd be naming you. I'd be like putting your emails out in front of people to show them and trying to generate clickbait off that, which I could do, but you guys don't want to see that. I don't want to get into a lawsuit with some crazy person, but that's kind of where this review things go. So when you guys, buy some crappy made China amp, and then you're like, well, so-and-so said it was the amp of the year, this is the greatest thing, or this is the best price point, or whatever, and you bought it, and you're listening to it, and you're going, what? How? This doesn't sound good. That's why. They need to make content, and they're scared of getting sued if they don't just go along with the flow. So, anyway, that kind of makes it for the Monday Monologue. I think that was a pretty good rant. And go give Midnight Mike a sub. And I think Ross somebody, I'm not going to put his last name, you can find it, is re-uploaded his video. He did a really hot rant about it, where he used a little choicer language than I did. So, if you're interested in this subject, maybe go see what Ross has to say. So, yeah, let's get to the music for the week. First of all, another good Hugo Cant, Point of No Return. And some of this I'm going to have to listen to more. Some of it I'm not super crazy about, but this song, it's the second song on side A, The Event Log. Wow, that is a cool beat. Her voice, just the whole vibe of that song is really good. And it's almost worth buying the album to get that, or stream it anyway. So go check this out. And I found this stuff's hard to find. The first Hugo Cant vinyl that I bought came from some shop in Germany. There's actually a place in the U.S. now called the Den of Wax that has a lot of these really obscure titles from Europe and stuff. I'll put a link below. Again, they're not sponsoring the video, but I found them, and it's a really cool site that has some really cool trip-hop vinyl and stuff that I'm probably going to buy some more of it. But they had this, and that's and the production quality on Hugo Cant stuff's really good. So the second one is, and this has been around for decades. Most of you guys have probably heard this. It's called The Cats, and it's got Tommy Flanagan, John Coltrane, Idris Suleiman, Kenny Burrell, Doug Watkins, and Louis Hayes. And guys, this is just classic, really good jazz. And once again, this was remastered by Kevin Gray, who is the master of remastering. I have yet to hear anything that he had his hands on that did just sound amazing. And I don't know what the streaming sounds like. I'm not going to even bother, because this vinyl sounds so freaking good. So, if you've never heard The Cats, go buy that or go stream it. I think you'll love it. So anyway, hope all y'all are having a happy holidays. Got my little Christmas green on. Mine's been very nice. Videos might be a little spotty for the next week or so, got some holiday plans that I'm going to be dealing with. Hopefully we'll have a Monday monologue. I'll try to get one up, but if I don't, there'll be one up the week after. So again, hopefully y'all are having a nice holiday, and go do something nice for yourself this holiday. I know there's supposed to be that whole joy in doing for others, which is true, but it's also nice to do something nice for yourself as well. And I bought some little toys for myself. I've got a new pair of Deckware speakers coming, which I'm excited about. Hopefully they'll be in next week. And it might be the first year before I do a review on them, so I'll give them some time to break in and all that stuff. But yeah, don't forget life's short and just to go out and enjoy it. So anyway, enjoying this content, please subscribe, please like the channel. We might even make it to 17K subs by the end of the year. Hopefully the channel will keep growing. First of the year, I'm going to start building amps again. Going to try to work on a 300B amp for production. Going to keep making my EL34 amps and my phono stages. So if you're interested in that stuff, give me a shout. And I did say on another video, and I'll add it today, I would like to build one of these new production ST70 kits. And then, just the basic ST70 EL34 one that's like this. And then that way I can A-B compare, are the new ones the equal of these old ones as far as the iron and everything and the bandwidth and all that stuff. Easy enough to test if I build both of them the same way. And so somebody out there was interested in an ST70, and it's probably going to end up about the same price as you would buy one pre-built from them, but it's going to have a skunky touch to it. And you'll have one that was reviewed on the channel. And I may even throw a skunky badge in for you. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. My email's at my website. And we will see you next week or the week after for the Monday Monologue.